India has surpassed China to become the largest source of international graduate students in the US for the first time since 2009-2010, with 268,923 Indian students studying in American institutions during the academic year of 2022-23. A record number of Indian students travelled to the United States to pursue higher education for the third year in a row. The number of students from India coming to the US increased by 35% and resulted in an all-time high of 268,923 in the academic year of 2022-23. Indian students account for more than 25% of the more than 1 million foreign students studying in the US. Meanwhile, joining us on the broadcast to give us more on this is my colleague Ajay Jandyal. Ajay, over to you.
Well, definitely it's a very good news, and definitely India is leading everywhere. The number of Indian graduate students, showed increase 63% to 1,65,936 students, an increase of nearly 64,000 students compared to the last year. That indicates that how the Indian, those who basically are going for the higher education, they have increased and they have surpassed China as well. And the number of Indian graduate students, the number basically have increased about 35%. If you see for last several years, that's the highest number, and India remained the leading place of region for the international students pursuing optional, particularly practical training with a modest increase of 1% according to the 2023 Open Door report, an annual statistics survey on international students in the US. So that indicates that China and India remain the two leading places of region among the international students, and the US colleges and the universities, 53% of international students in 2022 and 2023 were from China and India. Comparatively to the previous years, that shows that they have crossed that number, and India is leading on that one.
Right, absolutely, Ajay. Of course, now 35% students now going to the United States to pursue higher education. We haven't seen these numbers as per this report that's been released. We haven't seen these numbers before. But what were the kind of numbers that we were seeing in terms of Indian students going to the United States in order to pursue higher education? अजय, आपको मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है? All right, there seems to be an internet connectivity issue. Meanwhile, joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava. He's an international affairs expert. Good morning, sir, and thank you so much for joining in on NewsX. Now, there's a 35% increase in the number of Indian students going to the United States of America in order to pursue higher education. What do you think, sir? When is India going to see something similar? When are students from the US going to actually want to come to India and pursue higher education?
Well, excellent question, Sabri, and I wish and hope that such scenarios emerge where the greater number of US students are also will also come to India, and that is certainly one of the prime I think targets which India will certainly have, and India and Indian government will try its best to ensure that such scenarios emerges in India. But yes, with regard to our students going to the United States of America, this number is increasing each year. And now I think the total number of graduates from India to the United States of America has graduate students have risen by 63%, and the overall students, as you said, has risen by more than 30%. So I think that is that shows a very robust India-US partnership in the education sector. And Sabri, one thing I would like to say that education is one of the key sectors where there is enormous opportunity is still available for cooperation in the India-US strategic partnership. And for the India-US strategic partnership, education is one of the prime sectors where both the countries are collaborating. But as I said, that yes, though the numbers are rising, but there is enormous possibility available and untapped potentials are there to be. I'm sure that it is going to be utilized by the students of the United States of America and India, and I'll be happy to see if the greater number of US students also come to India for that to do. We will have to keep working on enhancing the various our center of excellences which are available. The new institutions, the world-class institutions are to be set up, which Indian government is certainly trying its best to do. But I'm sure that the prospects for higher education in India is getting brighter and brighter with new education policy, with a lot of changes are coming in our education sector. UGC has come up with a lot of visionary plans under the guidance of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. So I'm sure, Sabri, that in times ahead, you will see a lot of students from the United States of America too coming to India for higher education. But yes, with regard to Indian students taking education in the United States of America, I think that number is growing, and enormous growth has been witnessed if you compare it with the last year. So I think the prospects for India-US higher education and educational partnership is as brighter as ever, and it is getting better and better with each passing year.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.